Welcome back everyone to another video. So right now we're going to be reviewing two replays that I've been wanting to share for a little bit now. So these two battles are probably the most, well, the second one not so much as surprising because of the tank itself, but this one especially is probably the most surprising game I've ever had. Personally, I've never liked the Object 277. I found it very awkward to play with a gun, and I found it very just uncomfortable. But of course, as you saw, I have rammer, fully upgraded experimental turbo, which does help with the gun handling a little bit, and I have bounty V-stab, or bond V-stabs, I'm sorry. That definitely makes quite a difference. So, and it's definitely made this gun feel a lot more comfortable. Not quite as good as like a 260 gun handling, but you know, I'll trade it a little bit for a slightly higher alpha, so I'm kind of starting to really like this tank now, in all honesty. And, of course, I'm spamming heat because I'm just, you know, a troll like that. Some of you say, well, that shouldn't matter. You're right, it doesn't. But this does allow me to pen E50's turrets, and so I think, personally, people who say gold spammers, I think they're actually good players, because if you do spam gold, that was a lucky shot. You're basically, if you don't spam gold, I'm sorry, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage, right? Because, let's say, for example, there, I just penned the E50's turret. With AP, that wouldn't have happened, unless if I hit a scopola, which is almost impossible. So, people who say that gold spamming is like a noob move, it's really not. In all honesty, in certain scenarios, it's smart. I could see if, like, you know, if I'm firing at tier 8s constantly, sure, why waste the credits? But for me, I try to shoot gold as much as necessary, really, and that's the main reason. So for those of you who say that, just keep that in mind. You know, I get it. Your tank doesn't have armor against certain gold. You know, it's not the end of the world. Just move to a different position or angle better, because likely there's something that you're doing wrong, because I had the same thing with this tank. I used to hate the armor on this tank, and that was a very risky shot by me. Just aim, guys, or just angle your armor. Like, a lot of the times, like I used to have that same problem with this tank, where I used to over angle and stuff. Wasn't playing hold down as much as I should have, probably. And if I hold still and I don't wiggle, then I'm giving them an easy opportunity to shoot. So if you have armor, and especially if you have weak points like a cupola, you have to wiggle around. It's a lot like an E5. The E5 is great for that. There's a nice lucky little shot there. We finished the Minotaur off. So keep that in mind. E5 is definitely a really good tank to kind of learn that in. But anyway, back to the 277. So the more I've played it, I've played like, I think 700 games in it or something like that. And I'm definitely getting more used to it. Because the equipment I have with the gun now, it makes it feel so much better. Like, before I just had regular equipment, and now with this experimental equipment and the bond V-stab, it has made a tremendous, like, difference. And it's amazing, the difference. I did the same with the T30, where I had, since you can't put, I forget what it is, you can't put V-stab on a tank destroyer, so the way I had it is I had, I think it was bounty, improved aiming, and then I had experimental turbo fully upgraded, because that also helps with gun handling. So both of those pieces of equipment together really make a difference. We do get kind of lucky because the BZ shoots high, so we didn't lose much HP there. But right now we are just farming. I mean, this tank, as long as you're not getting like outgun depression majorly, I mean, you can make this tank work very nicely. Gonna get a little cheeky shot, and unfortunately we bounce. It hits just a little low, but that's okay. We're losing south right now. They're starting to push towards our base, and I'm trying to push through the north here as fast as possible. Get a nice little lucky-ish shot there on the cupola of the T95, and we're gonna keep moving in and see what we can do. T95 is a 2-shot right in front of us, and the other one is pretty much full health. So I decide once I reload, I'm gonna just YOLO in, just the T95. The 268 and the 263 have been very helpful to me, just been kind of helping bait shots and stuff. And little error there for me aiming. I aimed a little bit poorly there, so that's on me. Aimed a little bit too low again. That's just me panicking. We do kill him, overmatch the top of his tank with heat, and I fired, yeah, I've only got 6 heat rounds left, so we're at 3.7k damage and almost 5k blocks. Not too bad at all. And so I'm just going to race forward now. I'm going to load AP because for the most part I don't need heat unless I maybe fight the 430U, but he's got weak spots I can pretty much deal with. But other than that, the rest AP will be just fine. So it's a little broken. You can't see what shell's highlighted right now. Sometimes the game does that with these replays. It's a little buggy, but I'm definitely liking the 277 more. I know part of that's a skill issue because of the gun handling, but at the same time, it's like I'm used to, you know, really good guns like the Leopards, the EBRs. So, like, constantly changing it up like that is a little bit annoying, per se. We do get a nice little shot there onto the Prototypio 6, and he does put a full clip into us, which is fine. I have the HP, and he ends up dying for that, so, you know, very cool. So I'm going to load back to AP, and going to try to rush it back to cap. I see our 268's moving back, and possibly the G-Sword might be able to help as well. At this point, I'm kind of, like, just in brainless mode. I'm just kind of driving, however, because I'm like, I've already had a good game, but at the same time, I don't want to just blow it, you know what I mean? So, I have to be careful at the top of this hill. Don't know if anything's up here, but I do see a G-Sword up there. I'm a little worried about the Conway, because if I get spotted, he is going to put a dent in me. And you'll see that here as I slow down a little bit. And there he is. Hello, buddy. I'm going to try to fully aim the shot and be patient. Unfortunately, my timing was terrible. So, kind of a semi-halved rush shot there, if you couldn't tell. So, that's great and all. I'm not sure if anyone else is with the 430U. I know we know that they're not on cap, but only 4 of them have been spotted. So, out of the 5 that are here, that I can at least see on the minimap anyway. So the only one we're missing is the Sturv. I'm guessing the Sturv is probably somewhere by the Conway, and I think that's where he ends up being, actually, if I'm not mistaken. SU-130 is there. Very interesting spot there of how he spotted us. I'm going to load the HE for some nice damage. Our ELC is going to put a few dents into him, and I'm going to try to get at least one HE shell off in here into this SU, which we do for 585. And that leaves the SU, unfortunately, on 13 HP only. Kind of wish it killed him there, but that's okay. I'm going to put another shot into the G-Sword tank. And the turret on this tank is going to hold up pretty nicely against pretty much 9s and under for the most part. So, very nice. There's the artillery. I'm going to decide just to kind of race forward. I want to kill this SU-130. Even though he's not really a big threat, he just has a good gun as well. And if we can get him out of the game, since it's so close, even getting just one gun out of the game is crucial. So, the artillery is behind me again. I take a really risky shot there, just being kind of impatient. And look at that. There's a little Sturv. He is going to put another one into us, and we are going to high roll him for 501. Unfortunately, this does leave me at a one shot and just kind of vulnerable. I'm very lucky that the SU like didn't do anything to me there. Very, very lucky. So I'm trying to be careful. The arty is aiming at me, and he does snap, and so do I. And I end up, of course, taking the kill. I'm a little worried at the Sturv right now. He's probably the biggest threat to me. I think I do take a blind shot here in just a sec, if I'm not mistaken. But he is kind of hiding in the corner. I'm going to see maybe if I can get a shot on the 430U. And it doesn't look like he's on the other side of the rock there where cap is. So my best bet for another shot of damage is to go right for the Sturv. And that's exactly what we are going to do. I don't think he dies by my hands, unfortunately. Maybe he does. I don't remember. No, he does. There we go. I get my revenge. We end on pretty much 6k damage, over 5k block, and 2100 assistance. So I will not complain about that battle at all. Of course, this is the first time I've aced this tank. Like I said, I'm pretty bad at it. That's the best battle I've had. Pretty much paid actors for the most part, which is honestly one of the only reasons. So yeah, very good result. The 5 kills I didn't even notice until now, so also pretty cool. We probably would have gotten Top Gun if I was able to kill one more tank like the SU. Probably would have gotten that, or the other the first T95 I managed to miss. So, other than that, not too bad. Let's go ahead and get on to the probably the most intense battle I've had, at least for a little while. And I'm curious to see what you guys think of this next one. So, I do get there's a lot less paid actors, but there's more at the same time. So let's see what happens. All right, so now, yes, I did get the Object 279E. I haven't made a video about it, and my first one, I wanted it to be a good game. And in case if you're wondering, it's very similar setup to what I have now in the 277. The only difference is that I have regular V-stabs, I think I have regular rammer as well. Or no, I have bond rammer, I think, and then I have something else, I forget. I think it is experimental turbo as well, I could be wrong, but so right now there's 2 artillery. We're fighting tier 9s. The tank I have to be really careful of is probably the minnow, because he's got some good heat pen. The tank destroyers kind of have some good pen. 705A does, and the 277 does as well. And if I'm not careful, if the cron over peaks me, I can kind of get overmatched in a way. I do spot the 30B, and you're wondering, why am I just sitting here? Well, besides me driving like an ape there in the beginning, as you see, spotting that 30B kind of just paid off, because that instantly gave me over 2K spotting. It's kind of lucky there. You know, I got rewarded for being kind of stupid, which is, you know, I guess that's normal for World of Tanks, right? I got very fortunate that I did to get that. So this is going to be kind of a stalemate, but this tank, I think, is the perfect tank for this scenario, and I think that'll kind of show itself throughout the battle. So I've played, I think, about 100 games in this tank, and people ask me, is it still worth it? In my opinion, if you're willing to learn how to play it, yes, it's fun. It's another campaign tank. I think the 260 is better in general, because the 260 can do a little bit of everything. The 279 just has a little bit bigger weak spots, and you have to be careful. I mean, the 260 you also have to be careful who you poke against, but it's just one of those things where this tank is a little bit harder to play. But I still think the 279 is a fun tank. It is a fairly decent heavy, I'd say. Still, it's still pretty good. Compared to the 260 missions, I think the 260 missions were a little harder as far as difficulty, but I also tried a lot more for the 260, so I'd probably say, yeah, the 260 was probably a little bit harder to get as far as missions go. The 279 was definitely easier, I think. I think it kind of depends on your skill gap, too, because a lot of the 260 ones are required more medium tank missions, where the 279, it was more like heavies and lights and stuff like that. And unfortunately, he does pen us there, so kind of unlucky, but so I just have to be really careful about that Minotauro. So he's going to be a pain in my rear all game. The accuracy is what really kills this tank. Like, the armor works best to long range like this, but it's just, you have to be very careful with your shots, because I think I almost ran out of ammo at the end of this game, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, that's normal for how much we're firing. Kind of a poorly aimed shot by me. I think it hit the back of his track or something like that. But their minnow is being very aggressive. I mean, he wants his damage. You can tell. So basically, like, I could tell if they're gonna be able to pen me very easily. That's a very lucky cupola shot. Oh my gosh. But basically, as long as I'm not using any gun depression and I'm angled upwards, that's how I know that for the most part I'm not gonna get penned, unless if it's by like a Jagdpanzer E100 or something like that. Or Bliska Viska, or a Ho-Ri, you know, for example. So I'm trying to aim my shot, and it pays off. We end up killing the that annoying tank destroyer. And yeah, I mean, it is a little difficult too, like, trying to play it, because you're constantly trying to have to use, like, because most of the time when you play a tank like this, right, since it only has 5 degrees of gun depression, I think is what it is, or maybe, yeah, I think it's 5, maybe 6. You want to try to use your gun depression as much as possible. But this tank, because of the way that the armor works, I guess, it feels like you have to use as least amount as possible. That way your armor is sloped up, and you get all those bounces. And this game, as you'll see, it's also pretty effective. So if you're close to getting 279 and you're wondering, is it still worth it, or if you're thinking about getting it like from beginning, if you're fairly skilled like I am, like me, I've only got like I average about anywhere from like 2,000 to 2,500-ish win rate at tier 9 and 10. So if that kind of gives you an idea. Personally, I think it was worth it. I love playing this tank. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, it is kind of difficult. I wasn't quite expecting it to be that hard to play, like for the armor at least, but I don't know what it was like before it was nerfed. I know it was really, really fast before it was nerfed, and I think the heat pen was better too. I think they nerfed the heat pen down. It was 340, I think, and now they've nerfed it down to 320. So this tank can't really pen itself anymore, like it used to be able to, which I guess in a way is a good thing, but at the same time, I mean, the tank itself, yes, I think it did maybe need a nerf just from seeing everyone's reaction, and I think that was worth it. The already does shoot us, and we do unfortunately miss there, which is very unfortunate. But hey, it is what it is, right? So far we've already got over 5K spawning. I never imagined I'd get even anywhere close to that in the 2790. Am I surprised? Yes and no, but I mean, I'm a heavy tank, right? That shouldn't be what's happening, right? Of course I'm getting block damage. I've got, just under 5K right now. Raw, I only have 2,500 damage, which is a little unfortunate, but part of that's the gun. I did miss a few shots that I should have aimed a little bit better on the minnows cupolas, like the one earlier, and then maybe that one just now I could have aimed a little bit better, but I was trying to avoid him penning me more or less compared to me getting the shot off, so. But I think I did have some time to aim, in all honesty. And what I want to do is I want to kill this tortoise. That's really what I do. And I want to kill that blasted RD, because if he loads AP, which he probably should, if the RD was smart, which, 90% of RD players aren't. I'm sorry, 99.5% of RD players aren't. He could have, he could have probably even ammoracked me if it's a dead-on AP shot, in all honesty. I think that's what the RD should have done, but. Especially that close range, because he's maybe like what 200 meters from me or something like that. So if you ask me, I think he could have made it work very easily. So, but the 279, I don't know. I wish I kind of got to experience it before the nerf, because I'm not saying that it would make this tank any less fun, which it might to a degree, because you're used to being able to get there super fast, kind of like this tank and the Chieftain were nerfed at the same time, which is honestly deserved. Because Tortoise does pen me there, which is a little unfortunate. So I was kind of angling a little bit. I take that back. I wasn't really angling carefully. He still maybe have penned me because he just hits your cupolas. That's the one thing I find annoying. When you're close combat, you have to be just ultra aggressive. And unfortunately, the gun doesn't really allow that because of, like, just the aiming time and the accuracy is not the greatest. I mean, the aiming time's okay now since I have the equipment, but just the accuracy alone is just not really... It's not really there. It does help if you're close range, but at the same time, it doesn't feel reliable enough like it used to be, or like from what I've seen, but I do like the alpha, though. I think the alpha is, what, 440 if I'm not mistaken? And this is where we're starting... Yeah, it's 440, so... There's the artillery again. Gonna aim my shot, and we do end up killing that clicker from earlier. As you see now, I've got over 6K blocks, 6.5K. So, yeah, unfortunately, like, the DPM on this is good too, 440 alpha, and I've got, what, a 9-second, 8-second something reload, which is really nice. I think maybe if they gave the accuracy a slight buff, it might still make it a little bit overpowered, but it can't get to the same positions like it used to be able to, and I think that was kind of the main problem with this tank at the time, like before pre-nerf. But as you see, I really don't want to get penned by that 705A, but he does shoot, so I'm gonna aim at his lower plate, and we do put another shot into him. And this is where I gotta be careful. I decide, okay, I'm gonna try to keep the heat for the 705 if I can. If not, it's not a big deal, but if they both YOLO me, I pretty much die because I've got no support now, so I've got to be extremely careful with how I do this. So I load AP for the 277 because he has spaced armor all over on the side and stuff like that. And I think he has... I don't think he has any in the front, I don't think. I could be wrong, but I don't think his upper plate or lower plate has any. Again, I could be wrong, but The 705A, I think, is the same way. I think it has the spaced armor on the sides, and as we see here, I can pen the upper plate of him. That's exactly what I do. Thanks to the heat, I did intuition back to it again, and this 277 is going to circle me, which is the right thing for him to do because he can pen me all day long. And then this is the last thing I want to be doing is facing down, so now I'm kind of in a sticky situation. I know as long as I have my gun depression, I should be okay. But his 340 heat from that angle is going to pen me all day long. And so I'm going to try to get another shot onto him. Unfortunately, my ally takes the kill, so, I mean, kind of annoying. But other than that, not too bad. This game's pretty much over. Ended on 7.5k blocked, 6k damage, and almost 5.6 raw. We fired all of our gold ammunition, and we've got, you know, we didn't have to use any HE, but I mean, look at all those shells, guys. Just look at all of that. That's just crazy. Of course, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit because there's nothing much we can really do. As you see here, our allies pretty much just close in, and we're not gonna get any more damage there, as you guys see. So let's go have a look at the results and see what we all got from this. All right, so let's go ahead and have a look at this bad boy. So, of course, we did get another ace. First ace I've had in the 279 so far. We got we got high caliber steel wall for the over 7k that we blocked, and 4 kills as well. So not a bad little game. This tank it's still capable of handling its own, of course, in certain situations. I do like it. In general, I think it was definitely a little bit harder. Like I said, it's definitely a little bit harder to play than I was expecting it to be, just because of the way that you have to make the armor work. But I still find it fun. Combo there, that's almost, let's see, that's like 11.7 pretty much, almost 11.7 combined, and pretty good. I will greatly take that. Let's see how the team did here. So, of course, their 277 was from Bowser. He's a good player, I think. And their minnow managed to get only 3 shots off from his position, and for me being there, that's pretty understandable. They had three goose eggs. They had pretty much all these guys from under did nothing, and that tortoise player, you know, did 3 shots. Our team did okay for the most part. Nothing too concerning. I mean, I pretty much took a lot of the damage. E3 did the second best, so not too bad at all. 1500 base XP. That would explain the ace tanker. And even with, like, all this expenses and stuff, like, ammunition alone was 150,000. So we only ended up losing 73,000 because of our profit, or because of our gross income of 106,000. So not too bad at all. Max XP we received was 2276. Not bad at all. And the bonds are awesome to see as well. I will not complain about that one bit. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. A couple of good game replays I wanted to show you there. Of course, the first one definitely had some paid actors with the tier 8s. And this one, a little bit too. Maybe not so much. It's just more me kind of still getting used to the aim on this tank, the gun, how it works. And overall, I'm really starting to like both these tanks, especially the 277. Like I said, for the first couple hundred games, I hate the tank. I absolutely hated it because of the gun. But now that I've got decent equipment on it, I mean equipment and crew and stuff, it can make all the difference. My 277 crew is amazing. My 279 crew, not so much. They've only got like 2 or maybe 3 skills, and I do that on purpose. Like, well, why don't you put your 260 crew or your 277 crew in it? Well, because it gives me an excuse to play the tank in pubs, right? And also, I do share that crew as well with a few other tanks, like the 703 is one. And then I used to do it with, I think I used to do it with the ST2 as well, but the ST2 I think I gave a different crew. But yeah, heavy tanks are fun, especially, you know, after you get to, I mean, same with anything, right? Once you learn how to play the tank, it gets really, really, really fun to play once you've kind of mastered the skill. The 277 and the 279, especially the 279, gets ammoracked. I expect the 277 to get ammoracked because of the way that the tank is. But the 279, it does get ammoracked a little bit more than I've thought. I've been ammoracked, let's see, out of the almost 100 games that I've played in it, I think I've been ammoracked like 5 or 6 times easily. Of course, they were by like Panzers and Grill 15, you know, big caliber guns. So anything over like a 130, it just, you know, if they overmatch you with heat, it just pop, you know. So something to keep in mind. It just shows how critical it is to angle up your armor. In this tank and especially the 277, not to show your hole if you can avoid it. 277, you can't side scrape. You have to reverse side scrape, and it does work. You can bait shots. You just have to be kind of careful with how far you poke, because if a Panzer, if you angle a little bit too much and a Panzer fires AP or even a an FV, they can just go through it if it's 7 degrees or more. So that you're angling. So something I've learned, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about these replays down below. Have a good time. So, but anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.